Hey, this afternoon, Harris County Fire Rescue was dispatched to an overturned pickup truck in the woods. When we arrived, it's in a rural part of the county, so although the first engine did arrive within about 5 minutes, he found a vehicle that's actually about 150 foot off of the roadway in a pretty heavily wooded area. That vehicle was on its side. It had severe damage, severe structural damage. The patient, the sole occupant, was the driver. He was in the car. They weren't able to access it due to the damage, and he couldn't get out. At first, we thought he was pinned by the seatbelt. So, as units arrived on the scene, the initial issue was the vehicle was on its side, heavy side was up, we had a stabilization issue. CRTC Fire Department arrived, Rescue 13 immediately deployed struts on the bottom side of the vehicle, which to stabilize, to give us a good stable working platform. Again, suspect that he was probably pinned, potentially the upper extremity was pinned. To access the patient, once we were stabilized, to access the patient, the first thing was to go through the roof where we could access the patient, leaving the structural integrity of the vehicle in place for our stabilization. That worked out great later because we made access to him. Once we got access to him, we realized his arm was up under to be sort of the A post of the vehicle. So since we had basically the stabilization going the direction we had to do the push, we brought in some step chalks, we brought in some additional items, and then airbags. We stacked the airbags, the high pressure bags, very close to where the occupant was trapped, his arm was trapped. We did the push, which allowed us to free his arm. If the push was very slow, the lifting of the vehicle was very slow because we had to maintain stabilization. We had to restabilize as we lifted. Once we got the lift fully executed, we were able to remove his arm, and then with the backboard get him out of the vehicle. Once again, very technical situation due to the fact of we had to cut trees down with chainsaws. Once we accessed the vehicle, we had to stabilize the vehicle. Once the vehicle was stabilized, we had to access the patient and then disentangle him with airbags. Probably I think the primary difficulty was stabilizing the vehicle in a heavily wooded area where we had so many trees and stumps. We had to get a good place for the base plates for the struts. So a lot of chainsaw work before we could actually get started of stabilizing it. This was a great example of teamwork and training. Everyone on the scene trains together. CRTC, Harris County Fire Rescue. When they got on the scene, this was no different than training evolution. Everyone knew each other's names, everyone knew each other's equipment, and it was a very seamless operation. And this resulted, this was a limb-threatening event. This person could certainly lose his arm from this if we would have waited any longer. So having this kind of capability in the most rural part of Harrison County saved a person's life today.